Hello and welcome to In the Court of the Wenton Knave. This is part two of a couple of special videos. I'm just doing a couple of ELP albums. This is the last one. It's the last one. Don't ask me to do Emerson. I can Pound and Berry and Black Moon and all that stuff. This is an odds and ends album, released the same year as Works Volume 1. Supposedly contractual obligation. I assume because they've taken so long to make Works Volume 1 that the album requirements had caught up with them. Maybe that Works 1 should have come out in 75 or 76 and then this would have been 77. So they had to release it. So it is all existing material, most of which comes from the Works sessions, some of which is outtakes from Brain Salad Surgery, actually. It does mean maybe it was released too soon after Works, which kind of helped. It didn't get good response because it's an odds and ends album. It's like, well, it's just a rag bag of outtakes. And for many years I had the first album all the way up to Works, and I thought, well, that's the ones I want. I've read about this and thought, well, and obviously Love Beach and etc. So only about 5 years ago I bought this. It's brilliant. I think it's a really good album, and I think for Works 1 they chose the wrong songs, and I can understand why, because there's a lot of co-written stuff and there's a lot of cover versions, so obviously they wanted to choose their own written stuff. But in so many ways I enjoy this more than a good chunk of Works Volume 1. I mean, the best of Works 1 is probably better than anything on here, but this is also great. Track 1 is Tiger in a Spotlight. This is from Brain Salad Surgery when it was released as a single. Should have been a big hit. I don't think it was a big hit. I don't think it's a great recording, actually. I think live versions are much better. It was great in the 90s, actually. It's a really good commercial ELP. So the attempt to do a Genesis, that's they're most successful at doing that, interestingly. Of course, it all went horribly wrong, and Love Beach was a horrible album. I don't like it. And the attempt was to be commercial, but I think they went in the wrong direction. I don't know whether they were copying Genesis. I don't know whether in '78 people really quite realised nobody realised just how successful Genesis were going to be at it. And they were on the brink, bear in mind, of a resurgence in heavy rock. In fact, it was already happening, although maybe people weren't quite aware of it. And what they should have done is gone in a heavier direction. Listen to how the Barbarian starts. They do some really heavy stuff, some really heavy keyboards. Those people would have loved that stuff, and I think they could have been in the 80s in a better way than the way they attempted, and may well have been actually a success at it. Track 2 is When the Apple Blossoms Bloom in the Windmills of Your Mind, I'll Be Your Valentine. The funny thing about this song title, of course, from Brain Salad Surgery, is they obviously thought this was a hilarious comedy song title for a jazzy instrumental. Of course, by 77, 78, it sounds like one of Greg Lake's songs. So there you go. But the music, brilliant jam. I really like it. And I like even more the next track, Bullfrog, which is a fusion-y Carl Palmer track, co-written with members of the band that was supporting them on tour, which I assume why they didn't put it on Works 1, because it's brilliant. There's something Zappa-y there. I think perhaps it doesn't quite have the vigour of Zappa, the perfectionist of Zappa, but it's still brilliant. Barrelhouse Shake-Down. This is the first bit of Honky Tonk piano, is it 30s big band jazz or whatever you call it. Really like it. Then we got Watching Over You, which I think is quite a famous song. It's Greg Lake's lullaby. He's good at writing this stuff, and although a lot of it I don't like, when he's really good at it, this is great. It's a really good song. So Far to Fall, more jazzy than the previous instrumental stuff. I think maybe really good. Then we got Maple Leaf Rag. Yes, Maple Leaf Rag. Recorded at the same session as the piano concerto. You can't not like Maple Leaf Rag, can you? You have to like it. It's brilliant. And then track 9, the most famous song on the album, I Believe in Father Christmas. I mean, so many ways it's exhausted, isn't it? And it's just planted in your brain without you choosing. This is a different version to the famous version because it doesn't have the strings on it. It is actually a really good song if you can remove yourself from having to hear it over and over again. There was a really patronising interview with Greg Lake where the guy said, "Oh, that must be a good earner for you every year." He's an ELP. ELP sell albums all over the world. The fact that there's a hit on Top of the Pops, it's good, obviously, but the suggestion that he makes all his money from that. It's a strange British thing that we like to pretend that these bands, what sells worldwide is irrelevant. All that matters is what's on Top of the Pops. Not now, it's not. Track 10 is Close But Not Touching. This is another collaboration that Carl Palmer did, but with the arranger guy who arranged all the strings for his side of Works Part 1. And it's like a jazzy big band thing. I really like that. Very different to the previous one. Honky Tonk Train Blues. Absolutely fantastic. I really like this. I think the tapes for this recording was almost lost in the fire that burnt down Keith Emerson's house. Of course, obviously, famously, he also played it on TV, live on TV with Oscar Peterson. That's worth a watch, partially to see how nervous Keith Emerson is, and he does look nervous. He looks very nervous. But also the Oscar Peterson bit. Keith Emerson plays better on here, though, understandably. And finally, Show Me the Way to Go Home. The fact they didn't put this on Works Volume 1 is puzzling, in a sense. But of course, I suppose it's because they didn't write it, but it's brilliant. Inspired choice. As an inspired choice as the Enemy God on Works 1, it was just perfect for the album, perfect for ELP, perfect for Greg Lake's voice. The live version on Works Live is better. So anyway, that's the end of my little ELP reviews. I will be back for King Crimson at some point in a couple of weeks. See you then.